Hey guys, welcome back to another Fortnight on the Isle, my bi-weekly update series where I just kind of go over some of the IRL stuff, some of my reading and writing that's going on, and, just kind of update you on some of the stuff that's going on the channel in a somewhat less, intense vibe as I feel like I tend to put off in the rest of my videos. As for this week's introduction, I'm just going to go ahead and preface this right now because I'll mention it several times throughout the course of this video. That being that my last semester of school started this week. I'm doing my last 2 courses before I get my degree with this school, which I'm not excited to be doing school again. I absolutely hate it. I've hated it every single semester that I've been doing it, but this one's finally my last one, so that's something that I can at least be a little bit excited about. But, predictably, as has happened with almost every single semester, there were some issues at the start of it, in terms of technical difficulties and all that whatnot, because I do my school online. But all things considered, this has been the smoothest start to a semester that I've had since, I believe, fall of 2021 or something like that. So I'm just going to choose to be thankful for how this one has gone so far, even if it has just been a few days. But it has been a lot of my time that is taken doing this. One of the courses only had 1 module unlocked for me to do. I did that. And then I did the first module of the second course as well. Both of those together took, few hours between the 2 of them, just a bunch of introductory stuff, all of the menial stuff that happens in the first week of an online course. All pretty normal stuff that I am well used to at this point. But the second course, the condensed one, actually has all 7 of its modules unlocked. So I've started working on next week's modules already, because when I have the ability to, I always work as far ahead as I can possibly manage to, and as well manage to do so without going insane, for the purpose of giving me more free time later. It's been my philosophy doing all of my schoolwork, actually, because ever since like my junior year in high school, it's just easier to do it sooner and then have more free time later rather than procrastinate and then be running up against the buzzer. So, but I did like I said, the second module of the condensed course. It's split into like 3 subsets of tasks. It is a condensed course. Each of those subsets has taken like 4 to 6 hours. So I'm just exhausted from plowing through all of that in just a few days. Plus, as you might expect from me talking about this so much up front, it has definitely taken a significant toll on my reading time. And speaking of my reading time, let's talk about my bi-weekly reading, the stuff that I have read and gone through the last couple weeks. Now, first off, continuing from the last update that I did manage to finish 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne, which was a book that I believe I mentioned last time I had read the first half of back in my 8th grade year, so just the end of junior high school, but then I never finished it, and I'm even more sad now that I never finished it than I already was, because the second half of this was so good. It was a lot better than the first half was, and I already loved the first half for its atmosphere and all of that stuff. It was really enjoyable for me. It seems a lot of the people who I read it alongside in, various Discord servers didn't seem to enjoy it as much. I think there was 1 or maybe 2 other people who shared really overall positive thoughts on the book. Most everybody else thought it was fine, or just outright not very enjoyable to them personally, which, fair enough, all about taste. If you're not super into the atmosphere of this, it's not going to be, super enjoyable. Plus, Verne does list a lot of biological stuff and a bunch of words that you could argue aren't even real. That makes a few pages here and there a little bit tedious to get through, but overall I really enjoyed the story and I thought the second half was amazing. So I'm really glad I finished that. But beyond 20,000 Leagues, I did continue The Count of Monte Cristo, the other French classic that I'm reading at the moment. French, right? Yeah, French. By Alexandre Dumas, and I continued it. I was expecting and hoping that I would get a lot further than I did. I got to around page 201, but where I am was actually a pretty good stopping spot for me to be able to put it on pause for now. I've really enjoyed what I've read up to this point. The last several chapters that I read were very good, and that particular section of the book has one of my favorite characters that I've ever read. Several great, amazing quotes in this book as well. I'm having a really fun time, but regrettably, I have had to put it on time or on pause because I did start. You can't see the cover because I don't have it on. Kingdoms of Death by Christopher Rocchio, of the fourth book in the Sun Eater. The reason why I've put Count of Monte Cristo on pause is because Sun Eater is kind of my read along, and I've already been behind enough not starting this until this previous Monday, and I was. By this point, if I wanted to stay on schedule with myself to be able to finish this by the end of the month, I should be around 175 or 200 pages in by now. I am 90 pages, so I'm super behind because of school. But I have enjoyed what has been in there so far. Not a whole lot has happened. Not quite the same as, say, Demon in White, where the first 250 pages were basically all non-stop. Even, the first 100 pages of that, which was basically just a bunch of political related stuff, but even that moved really quick. So this one has been a little bit of a slow start in terms of the pacing so far, but I know it's not going to stay that way, and I am scared. However, let's move into the bi-weekly writing, and I'm very happy to say that I'm now finally 100% finished with Beneath Perfection, my newest novella. I finished editing that on Friday, actually today, the day that I'm recording it. I'm recording this on Friday night right after I got home from work. Finished editing the epilogue today. It was real short, thankfully, because of doing more school stuff today. But I am, like I said, happy to announce that you can now read the full thing, the full 9-chapter plus epilogue novella right now, linked in the description. It should be seasonalproductions.com/beneath-perfection, and that should take you to the page to be able to read that. I'm actually super, super proud of that. Compared to everything else that I've written, it is on a whole nother level of quality. Not saying that it's objectively, super great, especially compared to any real well-known name in the business, but for myself, it is a huge step up from anything that I've written, and I don't think I could be more proud of that project as it turned out where I am currently. So very excited about that. So if any of you are interested in reading that, I would appreciate the support. And more writing that I sort of managed to do over the last couple weeks was a couple weeks ago. I did get to outline my next couple blogs that are going to be coming out, those being the top 5 video games that I played in 2022 and my top 15 albums and EPs of 2022. Now I specify outlined because I got those organized and ranked, put all of those in the orders that they need to be, but I don't have the actual body text for any of those or for either of those blogs written yet. School obviously had other plans for me this week when I was otherwise planning to be able to get to that. They will get written this fortnight, though, before, they become, these types of rankings become a little bit more irrelevant. So by this time in 2 weeks from now, those should be written. I'm not going to 100% promise that, but I'll make a concerted effort to do that. That's part of why I do school, do so much school up front, get ahead as far as I can so that I can actually make the time later to do the other stuff that I want to do and guarantee that I have that time. But now let's talk about some of the upcoming releases that I have going on. In terms of videos, you will see on Tuesday, right? Yes, because this comes out on the 22nd. So this Tuesday, on January 24th, I'll have a review of Queen Amid Ashes and Other Stories by Christopher Rocchio coming up, episode 54 of the Book Binge. That was one that I just finally got recorded and edited here a few days ago. Took me a lot longer to make the time to actually do that because I was being lazy. Then on Thursday, the 26th, you will see part 2 of my 2022 reading tier list video, where I go through books 11 through 19 that I read in 2022. That will be continuing that series. Next Tuesday, on January 31st, the last day of the month, you will get a review of A Christmas Carol and Other Christmas Writings by Charles Dickens. And another review that will follow a somewhat similar format to The Queen Amid Ashes and Other Stories one. One that I'm actually rather excited to talk about, because there's a lot of different ways that my opinion sways between the various different items in that collection. So I'll be excited for you guys to see that. And then, of course, on the next Thursday after that, on February 2nd, you will be able to see part 3 of my 2022 reading tier list, where I'll cover items 20 or books 20 through 28 that I read over that year. And those are the videos that I have planned to come out over the coming fortnight. In terms of the writing releases, again, like I just mentioned earlier, I don't have any guaranteed dates at the moment for the aforementioned blogs for my top 5 games and my top 15 albums and EPs, but I am going to make, like I said, a concerted effort to have those not just ready to release, but preferably actually released by the next fortnight on the IRL. So be on the lookout for those, just as always. Since we've gotten all the professional talk out of the way, let's get into some entertainment stuff again. I've talked throughout this video about how school kind of had a major effect on my reading time. I will admit about 10 to 15% of the reason I haven't been reading very much this week in particular is because I was gaming a lot last weekend and early this week, so that being like Saturday through Tuesday especially. I've been playing a lot of Salt and Sanctuary, which is best known as basically being the 2D Souls-like, and I will admit I'm not loving that experience. I think a lot of the boss design feels really weird, off balance, off kilter. The first half of that game was like pulling teeth for me. How just fighting a lot of those bosses was just not enjoyable. The back half of the game I thought was a lot better. Most of those bosses felt a lot better to fight. They felt a lot more balanced, but a lot of that could have just been my shield being better. And unfortunately, on my first playthrough, when I could have gotten the platinum trophy, I missed one single trophy, because I accidentally did one thing wrong with one NPC that caused me to not be able to get that trophy anymore. So I have been running a New Game Plus playthrough of the game so that I can get that one last trophy and get the platinum, because it's not that much of a headache. And even though I saw a lot of discourse online saying that Salt and Sanctuary's New Game Plus feels unfairly balanced, I would say that overall, if you were playing a build where you could not rely on the Ashen Effigy shield, which is like an OP shield, it is so good. Like, it is absurdly good of a shield. If you did not have the ability to use that shield, you would be absolutely borked playing a New Game Plus run of this game, because the bosses are significantly harder. They drop a lot more salt, but they have a lot more health, and they do a heck of a lot more damage. The fact that I have that shield is really the only reason that I've been able to go through it. I would be going through in a completely new playthrough with a new character to get this last trophy if I did not have this shield and this build that I've been running. So it's been less of a headache, and I'm actually pretty close to getting it. I would say probably within 3 or so more hours I should be able to get this last trophy, and I'll be done. But that's my talk on Salt and Sanctuary. The last time that we were here on the IRL, I did talk about the Last of Us TV show on HBO Max as well. According to reviews and some of the stuff that I've seen from sources and reviewers that I personally trust, it seems that it's actually gotten a lot of positive reception, a lot more than I initially expected, and I'm hearing that it is virtually an exact match of the game, at least up to this point in the show, and I will say is really cool. I'm glad that they have been being faithful to the game with the show up to this point, and I'm glad that people are actually enjoying it. I really am. I promise that. It's just that for me, when I look at any of the castings, the characters, even in the world, which looks like really well matched after the game, and even like the infected look amazing in the show based off the little snippets that I've seen. But the main character casts, like I mentioned last time, I'm just not a fan of them. When I'm looking at them, I don't feel like I'm looking at The Last of Us, so it's like a weird kind of whiplash for me. Plus, I don't even know if I'm actually subscribed to HBO anymore anyway, so I wouldn't spend the money to subscribe again just to be able to watch it, even if I cared to. And besides, if I wanted to experience The Last of Us again, since it is apparently being so faithful, I would just play The Last of Us again. Considering that I've already played it upwards of a dozen times, I clearly need no excuses to play that game all over again when I want to. So, as things stand, I still don't think I'm going to watch the show, but I am happy that it has been reportedly really good up to this point. So if any of you guys watching this have been watching that show, I'm happy that you're enjoying it, assuming you are, unlike my stubborn butt, which isn't going to watch it at all. But that is everything that I feel like I want to talk about in this update video. It's several minutes shorter, it seems like, than my last one was, which already inherently is a big win for me. So thank you guys for coming around and letting me ramble about some of the things going on in my life. I appreciate you. I appreciate the support. I will see you guys on Tuesday for my review of Queen of Mid-Ashes and other stories. Thank you guys for watching.